Hey guys.
Good morning.
Good morning. Still morning. Got a couple more minutes. You're waiting. There you go. You didn't give me a thumbs up yet. There you go. Thumbs up.
Yeah, Coach, what are, where are you at health-wise? I guess today's a walkthrough. Is that kind of to give the guys a little mid-season break from preparing?
Nope. It's all player performance based, and we're going to go to our walkthrough format today. And what we'll use in a couple of these Wednesdays, getting a chance to guys to get out there, be ready mentally, get ready get their sharpness right, and things of that nature, and ready to go out and perform to be our best version of ourselves versus the Saints.
Player performance, mean the conditioning and all that?
Yep. All the stuff that we had, get done and get those guys off, taking a little wear and tear off the body, off the running, some of those things, taking a little bit off their legs, things of that nature, getting it right there where you want to be, so you're peaking at the right time and doing some of the stuff at the right time based on how the guys can perform best and what makes them work and what makes them go. Really love our format, love our science behind it. They do a great job. John Griffin and that whole crew, Nelly, all those guys, Paul Wall, they just all do a great job of getting stuff for us and what we need to get going.
What does that entail? Is it the testing, the body testing, all that kind of stuff that goes into muscle strength? Or I'm just trying to figure out how they get to the point like, okay, we need to back off a little bit.
Yeah, probably better off talking to this lot smarter people than me, but just to talk about it, what you've done leading up to this point, how many games you played in a row, some of the stuff that goes into the amount of plays that you play within a game, the framework of the game, where you're at as a team, some of the measurements that come out of the stuff off our GPS testing and our tracking, a lot of the things, how you've planned it moving forward according to travel, some of the stuff according to being home, a couple of different things about going to different time zones, things of that nature. There's all kinds of stuff that goes into it and goes into play with it all. But for the most part, you got to listen to the information and make decisions based off those reasonings, and that's what we do.
And yesterday with the deadline passing, did anything rise to the level where it came across your desk?
No, we just had a couple of discussions about things, and obviously Terry's always grinding and on the phone, and I'm not definitely a part of all those conversations, especially preparing for the Saints. Those are the things you really want to be concerned with, but no. And we feel really good about the guys we got, so feeling really good about where we're at.
And do you think y'all will stay with that rotation method y'all used last week?
Which one?
The outside linebacker rotation.
Oh, okay, yeah, because we rotated a lot of those guys last week, both inside and out, and we'll be similar. Won't be exactly the same, obviously. A lot of those things are based off of game formats and based off matchups, based off a lot of different things. So but you definitely like using a bunch of people, having a bunch of fresh people out there, being able to rush the quarterback or being able to play the run, getting those guys out there in timely fashions to be able to do the things that they do really well. Trying to make that thing work as best as possible.
You have any updates on Drake and?
You cheated. Sure, go.
Sorry.
When you think ahead to the Saints, obviously a team that just fired their coach. There's the rivalry aspect, but also they don't have anything to lose almost aspect. I mean, think about back to your time here in 2021 when you guys kind of went out, had a big game against the Vikings. Do you kind of take anything from that experience that you now talk to your team in preparing for this game?
No, you just increase the urgency in the whole building in the Saints organization. They're playing for their livelihood. They're playing for jobs. Nobody likes it. It's always rough in our business. I know we make TV shows out of all that stuff, but honestly, for us, that's real life and it's real life experiences. For that building, it's real life and real life experiences, and those guys are going through it. So, our team knows that the increased urgency for us to go out there and win, right? Not necessarily them, but for us as well, right? The increased urgency for us to go out there and win, and the attention that we have to put to these guys because of the stuff that you're talking about, being able to take over a new program or being able to start over and instill some different things. But, when a coach gets fired, the urgency in the building is certainly increased from the ownership all the way down and throughout the organization.
When you think back to your time kind of in that seat, so to speak, when you were here,
yes.
What do you kind of think back on? What was maybe your message to the team back then that kind of rallied them?
I was just flat out honest with the guys. I thought it sucked, losing a really good friend in Dan Quinn and having the ability not to be able to do the things that you wanted to do for him and how you wanted to do it, to be able to accomplish the goals that you wanted to get accomplished that year. And whenever you get fired in this business, although we know it's an end-all be-all for all of us, but you never want that to happen. But I thought I'd just use that general energy that we invested into trying to win for Dan Quinn and taking that moving forward to make sure he was proud when he was gone. And, we obviously we got Arthur Blank, who's a gracious owner, and allowed Quinny to be in that first meeting that I was in and been able to hold. And he was able to say his pieces to the team and be able to move on accordingly. And he's obviously done a great job for himself, which we'll see him later on this year. But those moments, they're not fun, and they absolutely sting and they suck.
Drake and Brady, any updates on there?
They will be out today doing everything, but obviously, it's a walkthrough, it's a jog through. We'll be out there doing those things, but they're still day to day. I'm feeling really good about it. Not to act like I'm hiding anything from the media, but I'm feeling really good about it. But obviously, you got to go see it. So I like to go see it on Thursday and some of the things a little bit today and a little bit Thursday.
How does it change preparation at all when it's...
Allison, what are you doing back there?
There isn't any scenes in the game.
You got a camera?
What was I gonna say? Okay, so when they make a coaching change, does that change at all, like your preparation? They have the same players for the most part, but just like game plan wise, does that change a little bit?
You will change some of the things that you were doing, obviously to make some differences in what you want to do. And then obviously, Rizzy's going to have a way he envisioned running a schedule. I'm sure he's been preparing to be a head coach for a long time. I'm sure he has a bunch of different ideas for his amount of time that he's been in this league. He's a well-respected coordinator in this league. He's a well-respected coach in this league. He's been doing it for such a long time for a bunch of different people. I'm sure those things he took from Sean Payton that he liked. I'm sure those things he took from Dennis that he liked. And I'm sure he's been gathering a bunch of information, waiting for these type of moments. Now, you never want it to happen in this form or fashion, but when they do, you apply those things to see if your thoughts can come to life. And I'm sure he's going to put some of those things together. And like when you do those things, a lot of those things come with your increase in your philosophy and your demeanor and how you want to do it. You don't change everything because, the person you're working for obviously had a lot of respect for, particularly in my case. So I'm sure he'll do a lot of the same stuff.
Do you pay attention at all to the weather reports and potentially a tropical storm or anything like that? And do you guys have conversations about that, or is that when it gets closer?
It's always brought up just because of travel, but obviously they play in a dome, so not necessarily a big factor for us. But it's always brought up when it comes to team travel and how you're going to get there and some of the things of that nature, but not really a concern.
Anything else?
Yeah, Coach, the Saints running back Alvin Kamara had over 150 yards this past Sunday. What are your keys to keeping that number down for the upcoming game?
He is a problem. You got to go out there and mitigate Alvin Kamara as much as possible. He's one of the best players in the National Football League. The three guys that come to mind right now, Saquon, Alvin, and our guy. And obviously Christian McCaffrey's been on the shelf, but, those kind of guys that are dual threats the way they are, they certainly present them challenges all across the board. But first and foremost, you got to stop him as a runner. And then you got to prepare for him as a passer and a pass catcher. Not necessarily a passer, but a pass catcher. You got to prepare for all those things. And he is a dangerous guy, has been for a long time, and he certainly can hurt you if you allow him. So he's definitely one of those guys that you would consider a game wrecker, and we got to prepare for him the right way.
Going off of Kelly's question, when you look at this game, do you feel like this is one where the good teams find a way to win and take care of business and not fall into what could be a trap game?
There's no such thing as a trap game in the National Football League. Every time you go out there and play in the National Football League, it is about your business, right? Like, if you haven't learned that lesson yet, you probably wouldn't be in the National Football League. It's just like you got to go play football the right way every time you go out there. It's more about you. It's about us. It's about your process. It's about being disciplined to what you do and how you go about your business. It's about having a plan on how you want to move forward and accordingly. And, Walk Through Wednesday didn't start today because the Saints fired their coach. It was something that we planned and something that we had a agenda to do, something that we wanted to do, and how we wanted to prepare to give ourselves the best chance to win this week. And that has to be the way you go about everything, every game you go about.
What did you see looking back at the tape that allowed your guys, especially, to get after the quarterback more in this game compared to other ones? I
think it's like everything else. Anytime you shine a light on things, and like I said at the beginning of the week last week, practice preparation has to become game reality. And quite honestly, the practice preparation is what I've been seeing in practice. And I was wondering why I wasn't getting the game reality. And it just came to life in that game and start to work for us. So, I think we got to build on that and get better. There's still things you got to clean up. There's still things you got to go back and make sure you do the right way and do a better job of. The combination of people and how you want to rush and how you want to go about your business. But, I just think it all came to life that day for those guys, and it was a little bit better for us. And we still got, like I said, still got a lot to go, a long way to go as far as being able to rush the passer consistently to affect every single game.
What did you like about what AK was able to do in that game?
Energy, effort, his ability to get off the ball, his ability to turn around out the stack. Dak was mobile, his ability to chase him down, his ability to come out of the stack and chase down checkdowns. Obviously when you get a better pass rush, the ball comes out a lot faster, and is able to get some of those checkdowns with us playing tighter, sticky man coverage. And that allows AK to really show his athleticism and run after the people and get people on the ground, whether it be behind the line of scrimmage or in front of the line of scrimmage. He definitely left some stuff out there that he wants to go out there and finish, particularly a big sack that he could have had that ended up being a touchdown. That, all of those things you want those guys to learn from and grow from. And I definitely like the progress that he made and where he was going in his attempts to go out there, Maria.
Speaking of progress, what do you feel like you've seen from him in your time coaching him?
Really, the awareness level of everything just in the game. Like, when I first got here, he was a guy that potentially could line off sides from not being aware of where the ball was, just being so excited. But, like, I've seen his attention to detail really, grasp and start to gain some of those interests and things of that nature. His ability to drop, his ability to show as a rusher, his ability to be an athlete in space, all of those things, his ability to run games with certain people that he's running it with. He's got accustomed with Grady. He's got accustomed with David. He's got accustomed with some people inside that way. So I'm really fired up where he's going, his development as a Atlanta Falcon.
And then going back to the interim conversation for a second, you talked about you were trying to be candid and transparent and that it sucks and the situation sucks. But when you became an interim, what was the biggest challenge that you felt presented itself in that moment?
To be the biggest challenge, to be frank, is actually addressing the team, having your different vibe and who you are without making it seem like you're taking shots at your predecessor. And I wanted to make sure that every time, whether we did something good or bad, it was not taking a shot at Quinny in any form of way. And like for me, that was my biggest challenge because of the respect level that I have for Dan Quinn and the respect level that I have for his job to come here and coach and lead us to a Super Bowl and to get us a playoff win and then not to have the success that we wanted to have moving forward. And you want to make sure you're able to be candid with your media, but also at the same time talk candidly about some of the changes and the adjustments and the things that you want to make moving forward because of some of the mistakes and the failures that we had in the past.
How different are the Saints in the recent film you've watched compared to the film you watched before the first be out?
Well, they're down, at least one wideout that we know for sure. And then they gotten Taysom back is the biggest thing that you notice from an offensive standpoint. Taysom's a big-time playmaker. He got hurt in our game, kind of came out, and the game kind of changed for us a little bit with the ability to be able to stop the run because he's certainly a problem. The receiver is definitely one of the more dynamic players in the game, both from a return standpoint and from a deep threat standpoint. And losing him for this season is definitely something that's going to be a problem. And then obviously last week, we don't know where he's at, but he having a concussion last week with their other wideout that's absolutely a dynamic player is certainly a problem as well. And then, obviously they were coming off the hot 2-game start of the season, absolutely scoring a bunch of points and being really explosive. And, things start to fall apart from a little bit. And on defense, those guys have been active, and they were going through a bunch of injury cycle at that point when we played them the first time. But still, they held us to not get in the end zone from an offensive standpoint. So we got to come out there ready to play.
The 3 running backs you mentioned a minute ago, I believe, are the only 3 to have 6 games with 100 scrimmage yards this year. So obviously, the ability to be a receiver out of the backfield is a key part of that variable. Bijan seems to be gaining momentum in that regard. What have you seen from him with, I think, back-to-back 7-catch games?
That was the vision we kind of had. I believe we talked about this early on and what Bijan could be, and I kind of just threw it out there to Christian McCaffrey because everybody knew, and I didn't want to be disrespectful to Christian. Obviously, doing it at the amount of time that he's done it and how long he's been doing it for, but the similarities of playing against Christian and watching Bijan in practice every day and getting a chance to meet the young man and all the things that they can do, it's just super dynamic. And then obviously the guy we're playing this week is just like him as well. So when you think about Bijan and watching him progress and get comfortable and more comfortable in his system with the play caller, with his quarterback, with the guys that he's with, I think that's a refreshing growth and development for him. So talking about that growth mindset from a running back, talking about that growth mindset from a receiver, that growth mindset from a protector, just being able to go out there and do everything to, really become his version of his best self.
Coach, how would you describe this Falcons' defensive identity under your leadership?
Again, I don't. The identity, like I've been telling us about the whole team, it's got to be defined out there on the grass, right? And right now you got to define them as winners, right? They find ways to win football games. They find ways to get it done at the end of the day, and they find ways to get better and better every single week with the growth mindset going about their whole process every single week. They're talking about the results and talking about being in the lab, being in the meeting rooms and getting better and better every time we go out. And that's the whole thing you want to do. As this season progresses, being that it's a long season, you want to be the best version of yourself. The later, the better.
Have you heard about the nickname Jesse Bates gave him, the Crash Out Crew?
Somebody just told me that just recently. Which one of you guys told me that? We have, yeah, it was just Friday. I got 2 nicknames now, right? Crash Out Crew, and what's the other one?
Bloody Knuckle.
And then the Bloody Knuckle Crew. So, like, I like all those things, man. Those are identities inside the units, and I'll leave that to those guys.
Yes, Mr. Nielsen also involved in the decision-making, director of performance science.
Yes, all those guys. So you got Griff, you have Nelly, that's Mr. Nielsen. I don't think you said his name right. I just call him Nelly. You got Paul, you got Eric, you have Jake Fowl, you have a bunch of people. That's in our PT. You can go through all of our when I say performance team, I'm talking about all those guys that take care of us.
Is that something you learned in LA, or is that something here at the Falcons?
I definitely got a lot of it from LA, for sure, with Reggie Scott and his team out in LA. A lot of credit to what they did, a lot of collaboration on how they did it with Sean, a lot of things they were able to grow with Love, their strength coach, their equipment guy. Lot went into it out there, and it was really cool. Sophie Harlan, from a travel standpoint, everything that we do is based on player performance, and they certainly show me a whole new light, a whole new collaboration, a whole new interest of being able to be thoughtful in your approach to everything that you do.
Anything else? All right, thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Ray.